Russia with love.
Hello 007 fans, I am back with a review of the second James Bond film from Russia with Love from 1963. You can find my review of the debut Bond film Dr. No on the channel now. I'll put a link in the description. But thanks for listening. Building on the momentum of that first film, Connery is back as Bond, and also Terence Young is back to direct. You have a screenplay by Richard Mannenbaum, and notably it's John Barry's debut as the Bond composer, because he would become the guy synonymous with James Bond music. He replaces Monty Norman from the last film. I've got to say, the music in the last film was pretty impressive, but probably even better this time around with Barry taking over. And the opening titles, which I played to you at the start, is just kind of, they're just whatever, they're quite intoxicating, but I did prefer the opening titles from Dr. No. From Russia with Love premiered in London on the 10th of October 1963, so just over 60 years ago now, and it would go on to gross 79 million worldwide from a budget of just 2 million, so that's an even bigger success than the previous movie. It has also become a favourite of British cinema, as in 2004 it ranked number 9 in a Total Film magazine poll of the greatest British movies of all time, and it's worth saying it's the only Bond film to appear in that list. It is also the first Bond film to win a BAFTA for Best Cinematography, and it does look gorgeous. They once again go to town on the landscapes and on the location work in this, the main bulk of the film being set in Istanbul, and you can really tell it. So alongside Connery returning as Bond, you also have a new Bond girl, so played by Italian actress Daniela Bellucci. She appears as Soviet cipher Tatiana Romanoff. Romanoff studied ballet for 8 years and later worked as a fashion model. That's both the actress and the character. It's referenced in the film. And the actress's other film roles include In Case of Adversity, Codename Tiger, and Operation Kid Brother. You also have late Mexican character actor and director Pedro Almodóvar. He stars as Ali Karim Bey, head of MI6 in Istanbul, and he is Bond's main contact. This was Almodóvar's last film role. He tragically died from suicide later that year, so RIP to him. You also get Lottie Lorena, a famous singer, performer and actor. She leaves a real mark as a Spectre agent number 3, Rosa Kaleb, a recent turned agent who appeared as the film's co-villain alongside Robert Shaw's slimy Donald Grant. The villains in this film are a big improvement from Dr. No. And another notable debut is Desmond Llewellyn, a Welsh actor, and he was a fan of the James Bond comic strips. He makes his debut as Q in this fun scene with Bond.
Ordinary black leather case with 20 rounds of ammunition here and here. Now, if you take the top off, you'll find the ammunition inside. On the side here, flat throwing knife. Press that button there, and out she comes. Inside the case, you'll find an AR-7 folding sniper's rifle, .25 caliber, with an infrared telescopic sight. Inside are 50 gold sovereigns, 25 in either side. Now, watch very carefully. An ordinary tin of talcum powder. Inside, a tear gas cartridge. That goes in the case against the side here like that. It's magnetized so it won't fall. Shut the case. Now, normally to open a case like that, you move the catches to the side. If you do, the cartridge will explode in your face. Now, to stop the cartridge exploding, turn the catches horizontally, like that. Then open normally.
This was a basic intro scene for Q. In future films, Q and Bond would develop some banter back and forth. Known as just question mark, this was the first official appearance of one of the most famous Bond villains, Sturtevant Blofeld, head of Spectre. Here he's voiced by Anthony Dawson, who was Professor Dent, that dim-witted Dutz in the last Bond outing. The character would be played by various classic character actors in later films. He has a very memorable scene with his agents here.
3 men were found dead on the train at Trieste. One of them was Grant. What have you to say, number 5? Exactly. What have you to say to that? Number 3. I warn you. We do not tolerate failure, number 3. You know the penalty.
Yes.
If you fail... 12 seconds. One day we must invent a faster working venom.
The soundtrack album composed by Barry reached number 28 in the variety charts the following year, 1964. Matt Monro's lush romantic song was composed by Lionel Bart of Oliver fame. The song plays during the film instead of the opening credits, which would become the norm. It's not one of the more standout Bond themes.
Traveled the world to learn I must return from Russia with love.
The Bond theme song would become a massive part of the film's release in the future, but not so much in this case. This was pretty low key, and I will be ranking all the James Bond themes from worst to last as I go along. Well done, Matt, because technically Dr. No didn't have a theme. So you're number 1 at the moment. Enjoy it while it lasts. So the story is Spectre seeks revenge on Bond for the death of Dr. No. So that's a nice bit of continuity and tie over from the last film. A grand chess master, well, he is Russian, sets a trap to lure Bond the bait of a Lecter cinematography device from the Soviets. Former Soviet Rosa Klebb hires hitman Donald Grant to kill Bond and cipher clerk Tatiana to lure Bond in. Tatiana believes she is doing this all for Mother Russia. The villains play on Cold War tensions, pitting the Russians against the Turkish, those fiends, in Istanbul, the film's main setting. The film is quite a big step up from Dr. No and definitely deserves to be called one of the Bond classics, and it's partly because of unique scenes like the opening, as what we think is Bond sneaking around the grounds of a mansion when he is attacked with a twist in the tale.
Exactement 1 minute 52 secondes. Excellent.
A twist on what would become the norm, with Bond on a mission before being called in for the main case of the film. That was a very suspenseful, almost horror-like scene, and I think when Bond dips into other genres, sometimes it's when the films are at their most effective. The guy playing Mesery is a character actor, Walter Gotti, who would later play the head of the KGB, General Go-Go, in the Roger Moore Bond films, so more of him in later episodes. His other film roles include The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, The African Queen, and The Longest Day, so very famous British character actor. From there, the film nicely sets the table with some fun, cartoony, villainy moments, like the scene where Rosa recruits a timid Tatiana.
Did you tell anyone at the consulate you were coming here?
No, the message said
Yes, I know. I sent it. Turn around.
You're a fine-looking girl.
I've had 3 lovers.
What is the purpose of such an intimate question?
You are not here to ask questions. You forget to whom you're speaking. I have selected you for a most important assignment. Its purpose is to give false information to the enemy. If you complete it successfully, you will be promoted. From now on, you will do anything he says.
And if I refuse?
Then you will not leave this room alive.
And nothing to
If you do, you will be shot.
That is one scary lady. Best line delivery of the film, and I so want that as my ringtone now. Like Dr. No, the film does suffer from some dated sexism and other tropes. Tatiana is a less feisty Bond girl than, say, the later Triple X, in my opinion. The worst scene of the movie is this random gypsy girl fight. This really hasn't dated very well.
The elders of the tribe will then decide who in the end will marry the chief's son. Saying that...
Yes, I think I got it without the subtitles.
The 60s was such a fun time for fight scenes, right?
First, Spock out.
The stereotypical gypsy fight scene does drag on a bit. Its only real purpose is to set up this exciting comedic action scene. The film does slow down a bit at this point, although the next scene where Ali Karimberg gets his revenge for the previous altercation is quite entertaining, and we also get a fun Bond one-liner, maybe the one-liner of the movie. They are sharper in this film. You've also got the she got her kicks at the end of the film as well, but this may be the best of them.
Infrared lens. Try this for size. Do you notice anything?
Not yet.
She has a lovely mouth, that Anita.
Yes. Quick, he's coming.
That pays many debts.
She should have kept her mouth shut.
A more serious, subversive twist on that scene can be found in the first Timothy Dalton Bond out in The Living Daylights from 1987, which is a very interesting scene and film. More on that in a future episode. The mix of locations and settings is also what makes this such a cool Bond adventure. I really like the scene with Bond in this classic old school underground tunnel. It's the sort of tunnel you could imagine a crooked chicken shit politician escaping through when the heat is really on. This leads to a bomb being set off underground and an explosive chase across Istanbul, beautifully shot by Young, and the tension really mounts as Bond and Tatiana make their escape, cross the border, taking in all modes of transports and many great set pieces, including this one where Bond is attacked by a Spectre helicopter.
Straddled the truck.
I'd say one of their aircraft is missing.
We build nicely to my favourite sequence of this movie, which is when Bond and Tatiana are on the overnight train and the tension builds as we see Robert Shaw's Donald Grant make his move, posing as a British agent trying to lure them in. Connery does a great poker face, making the villain believe that he's fallen for his ruse. They even share a drink over a dinner, and it leads to this really tense, frenetic fight sequence. Bond gets to use his neat little Q gadget, the gas from the suitcase.
What about that cigarette?
Throw him down there. Any more in the other case?
I should imagine so. It's a standard kit. I'll have a look.
Put your hands back in your pockets.
This old man.
Hard to top that, but this boat chase scene is also pretty entertaining and nicely done. And I've got to say, for the 60s era, these are some pretty damn solid fire effects.
Heave to! Heave to! Rifle grenade, prepare to fire!
Shot! Rifle grenade, fire!
You're trying to stop them, not to thank them.
Here, take the wheel.
Hands up, Mr. Bond.
Why are you giving up? Without those drums, the boat must be lighter. We can go
Hand me up that
faster.
very pistol.
Keep your hands up, Mr. Bond. We're sending a boat along to take you off.
There's a saying in England, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Green Ranger, go! Don't stand! There he's gone! Hold boat! Put up your ammunition! Get rid of it, quick! Get rid of it! Boat! Jump! Quick as you can! Jump!
Tatiana has been mostly a useless presence in the film up to this point, but she does come good in the final scene as she is forced to choose sides between Bond and the sadistic Rosa in this very entertaining final big set piece. Rosa and cool spikes coming from the shoes, and it's a nice touch that Tatiana actually gets to do the killing in this fun sequence.
Paul, Bond here. Just to tell you we're off in a few minutes, and I want to thank you for everything. And so, here, leave that. I'll take it.
Hello, what was that you were saying? Hello, hello.
Clap.
Romanova, the door. Romanova! Why?
Horrible woman.
Yes, she's had her kicks.
And we end with a super cheesy scene with Bond and Tatiana on the canal and some weird hand waving in the film. But it's the first time we actually see the not quite the end bit, as James Bond will return in the next Ian Fleming thriller, Goldfinger. I do like those touches at the end of the credits as I head to the roundup. Overall, I quite like the music in the film, but I think I prefer the music in Dr. No, and the Matt Monro main theme just isn't a favourite of mine. It just lacks the spark which you associate with classic James Bond themes. It's kind of just there and it's just fine, so I'll give the theme like a 5 out of 10 really.
Still my tongue tied, young pride would not let my love for you show, in case you'd say no. To Russia I flew, but there and then
there are a range of very diverse and exciting villains, some more icy and entertaining, some more threatening, but this makes it a step up from Dr. No, where really it was only the title character who was a strong villain. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 for the villains, and I also enjoyed how there's a bit of continuity tying over from Dr. No, where they're on a mission to revenge his death, keeping the Spectre theme nicely bubbling along. Because of Tatiana's importance to the plot of the movie and how she comes good at the end, making a difference in the final fight, I think I'll say that she's an improvement as a Bond girl over Honey Rider. She is really beautiful, of course, but she's pretty useless for the majority of the film, more like a plot cipher in some ways. But overall not too bad. I'll give it 6.5, but there have been, or there will be, similar characters who I think improve on her. Bond comes out swinging with the one-liners this time, as Connery's icy deadpan delivery really gets the measure of some witty dialogue, including this gem, where it not only mentions a famous wartime saying, but also it's a very cine-literate reference.
I'd say one of their aircraft is missing.
7.5 for the one-liners, and with Q now on the case as Bond's main gadget man, there's a big improvement for that stuff in the movie as well. I'm going to give the gadgets 6.5 out of 10. So across the board, an improvement and a much stronger film than Dr. No. I'm going to give From Russia with Love a very strong 8.5 out of 10. And I will be ranking the movies as I go along. I expect this one to be right up there at the end of all the movies. But it will have some stiff competition next time out, as the iconic Goldfinger will be the next Bond film I will be reviewing from 1964. But just one other thing, don't forget, if you let anyone know about this classified mission,
You will be shot.
Thanks for listening, like and subscribe as always. If you want to support the channel monetarily for as little as $1 a month, then check out patreon.com/board now. Get reviews like this early and other special bonuses and perks, including movie and TV commentaries. Look out for my review of Goldfinger coming soon. See you guys.